It starts quietly long before anyone calls it fear or loneliness. You are young but already counting years like they might abandon you. You notice couples everywhere and imagine time moving faster without permission. The fear is not loud, but it is persistent and always watching. This fear is rarely about age itself or wrinkles or slowing bodies. It is about being unseen when the world grows quieter around you. It is about imagining empty rooms and unanswered messages stretching endlessly. It is about wondering who will remember you when routines disappear. Psychologically, this fear often begins far earlier than old age. It forms in moments where connection felt unstable, conditional, or temporary. Maybe love was present but unpredictable and never fully safe. Maybe affection arrived only when you performed correctly for others. When emotional security is inconsistent, the mind learns to anticipate loss. It learns that attachment can vanish without warning or explanation. So it starts preparing early, rehearsing abandonment before it arrives. Growing old alone becomes a symbol for every earlier emotional absence. Some people fear aging because it mirrors childhood moments of being left. Others fear it because they learned worth depended on usefulness. When usefulness fades with age, they fear love will fade too. This is not vanity, but survival logic learned through experience. People with this fear often appear highly relational and attentive. They remember birthdays, check in often, and rarely miss social cues. They invest deeply in friendships and romantic connections early. Connection becomes a responsibility rather than a mutual experience. They may rush relationships not from passion, but from quiet panic. The panic says choose now or risk being alone forever. Time feels like an enemy rather than a neutral passing force. Every birthday feels like evidence that options are disappearing. This fear can create overfunctioning in relationships across many years. They give more, listen longer, and compromise faster than feels natural. They may tolerate emotional distance, hoping consistency will eventually appear. Being chosen becomes more important than being understood or cherished. Ironically, this fear can push people toward loneliness itself. When connection is driven by anxiety, it becomes harder to sustain. Partners may feel pressure without knowing where it comes from. Friendships may feel imbalanced, even when intentions are loving. There is also a deep cultural layer shaping this fear. Society often equates aging with irrelevance, especially without partnership. Stories celebrate youth romance and overlook late-blooming connection. So the mind absorbs a timeline that feels rigid and unforgiving. People internalize the idea that love has an expiration date. They believe missing milestones means permanent emotional failure. This belief fuels comparison and quiet shame during social gatherings. Shame thrives in silence and grows stronger when unexamined. Another root of this fear lies in attachment patterns. Those with anxious attachment often fear abandonment more intensely. They may equate separation with emotional danger or personal failure. Growing old alone becomes the ultimate abandonment fantasy. Avoidant attachment can also hide this fear beneath independence. They may dismiss relationships while secretly fearing future isolation. Distance becomes protection against needing anyone too deeply. Yet the fear waits quietly for moments of stillness. This fear is not about needing people constantly. It is about fearing life without witness or shared meaning. Humans are relational by nature, and aging magnifies that truth. The fear emerges when connection feels fragile or conditional. Many people with this fear become planners of emotional futures. They imagine worst-case scenarios late at night in detail. They picture holidays alone and hospitals without familiar faces. The mind rehearses pain, believing preparation might reduce it. But preparation rarely soothes this kind of fear. It often deepens it by reinforcing catastrophic narratives. The body cannot distinguish imagination from reality easily. So the fear feels present even when life is full. Some respond by filling every moment with activity. Silence feels dangerous because it invites future-focused thoughts. Busyness becomes a way to outrun imagined loneliness. Yet aging cannot be outrun no matter the pace. Others respond by clinging to roles that ensure connection. They become caregivers, organizers, or emotional anchors for groups. Being needed feels safer than being wanted freely. But need-based bonds often create exhaustion and resentment. At its core, this fear asks a simple question. Will I matter when I am no longer young or useful? Will anyone choose me when I offer nothing but presence? These questions are deeply human and deserve compassion. Healing begins by understanding that fear is not prophecy. It is a memory dressed as a future prediction. The nervous system recalls past disconnection and projects it forward. Awareness helps separate what was from what might be. Another step involves redefining what alone actually means. Being alone does not always equal being lonely or abandoned. Many people experience deep fulfillment outside traditional partnerships. Connection can exist in many forms across a lifetime. This fear often softens when self-relationship strengthens. Learning to enjoy your own presence builds internal safety. Solitude becomes less threatening when it is chosen occasionally. Loneliness loses power when it is no longer equated with worthlessness. Community also plays a crucial role in healing this fear. Not just romantic bonds, but chosen family and friendships matter. Diverse connections create resilience across different life stages. No single relationship must carry the weight of everything. It is also important to grieve imagined futures honestly. Sometimes people mourn lives they were taught to expect. Letting go of rigid timelines creates space for new possibilities. Grief acknowledged becomes flexibility rather than bitterness. People often discover this fear hides a longing for meaning. They want their life to matter beyond productivity and youth. They want shared stories and someone to remember them. Meaning can be cultivated through creativity, service, and presence. Aging alone is not the same as aging unloved. Love can arrive in waves, forms, and seasons. Some connections last briefly, yet leave permanent warmth. Others appear later than expected but feel deeply aligned. When fear is examined gently, it often transforms. It shifts from panic into curiosity about authentic connection. Instead of asking, who will stay forever? The question becomes, how can I live fully now? Therapeutic work can help uncover early experiences fueling this fear. Inner child work often reveals unmet needs for reassurance. The adult learns to provide safety once sought externally. This reduces urgency around future companionship. Mindfulness also helps anchor attention in the present moment. The future loses some power when now feels sufficient. Practicing gratitude for existing connections builds emotional security. Security grows through consistency rather than prediction. It is important to challenge cultural narratives around aging. Many lives become richer, deeper, and freer with age. Wisdom, humor, and self-acceptance often increase over time. These qualities attract connection in ways youth cannot. Fear of growing old alone often lessens with self-trust. Trust that you can adapt, connect, and find meaning. Life rarely follows linear scripts taught early on. Flexibility allows surprise and unexpected intimacy. You are not broken for fearing loneliness. You are human responding to a world that emphasizes separation. But fear does not get to define your future. Conscious choice and self-compassion do that instead. Growing older can be an expansion rather than a loss. It can deepen relationships rather than erase them. It can bring clarity about what truly matters. And it can invite connection that feels honest and earned. If you fear growing old alone, listen carefully to that voice. It is asking for reassurance, presence, and deeper self-connection. Give it compassion rather than criticism or urgency. Fear softens when it feels understood. You are allowed to desire companionship without shame. You are allowed to build a life that sustains you. And you are allowed to age without apologizing for existing. You are not racing time. You are living within it.